Good evening. Welcome to our daily class from Rebbe Nachman on Patreon. You know, this Torah has been teaching us different ways to change our attitude, but in a direction that is astounding, because it's taught us already that by closing our eyes, we can actually cancel out the pain of our existence, but really closing them tight. And what the Rebbe suggested is that yesterday is that when we close them tight, we actually cut off our connection to the things of the external world that we call the sources of our pain. We cut off the sources of our pain and we say, no, it's all one, it's all God, it's all good. You just flip software and you suddenly, well, wait a minute, maybe it's all one and I'm just not reading it right. Maybe my pain is cleansing my soul. Maybe it's showing me where I'm overly connected to the physical world, or maybe it's a reminder that I need to do tshuva, or maybe it's a reminder of where I've come from and where I want to go. And when we look at our pain that way, and that it has purpose and meaning and directionality, then suddenly the pain starts to dissipate. Sometimes fast, sometimes not so fast. In this paragraph, now he's going to tell us another great thing, another great advice. He tells us that when we reach that place of surrender to the oneness, it's called in Hebrew bittul. Nullification is one of the common translations. I don't like the word nullify too much. I don't know how it applies to the human brain, because, if you nullify yourself, you cease to exist. But here we're not talking about ceasing to exist in the sense of the truth of my reality. I'm trying to surrender my world view for a higher one. I'm trying to say that when I see the world as bad, I'm seeing it wrong. And when I think God is mean, I'm seeing God wrong. And when I look at life around me and I'm always finding the negative things, that those are the things that I want to surrender back to God. I want to give them away. God, you said it's all good. You said it's all one. Your oneness is the thing that cancels out the bad. I'll accept those terms. And I'll back up and say, okay, let's go with God's terms. He's all good. He's all one. And if I'm attached to him and believe in him, not to forget about how high you are and how attached you are, just to believe those concepts, I can surrender my life to him and let go of my disappointments and let go of my pain and let go of my anger and just start over from God in life. It's all good and it's all one. And my job is just to keep seeing that over and over. Now, we all know that we could talk about this, and the minute this talk is over, that we're going to go back to the test of dealing with life in duality and triplicate and quadruplet. And we're going to see that multiplicity as a challenge to our belief system that it's all really one and it's all really good. So you see that it's our senses that are feeding us the multiplicities of information that cause us to not see it as good and not see it as one. So that's why the previous paragraph's advice about closing our eyes to all of it is actually very helpful. And now, so the Rebbe says here, Ki hine be'emet, in truth, b'shat bitul nitbatel el tachlit, and when we surrender, nullify, if you will, if you like that better, surrender to the purpose of creation is to see that it's one and to live that oneness. Shehu kulo tov, and it's all good. Kulo achad, azai be'emet nitbatlim ha'yisurim, and then the sufferings are all canceled, they're all pushed away. Ach, i'efshar liot tamid kavua b'bechina habitul. It's impossible to stay there. It's impossible to live at a constant state of all oneness, all goodness, and my perception of what I don't like or what hurts is just going to disappear overnight. No, it comes and it goes. Just like our perception that it's all good and all one. And it's like being on two sides of the seesaw, you know? You go back and forth, back and forth. It's all good. It's all one. No, it's not. Look at these people. Someone just got hurt. Back and forth, because we don't see the deeper reality behind it. And if we were able to see it all one, all good, all the time, we would no longer be human. He says we would go outside the boundary of what's called human. Now, I guess the next category up is angelic. Now, that sounds like a nice label. People wouldn't mind being an angel, right? Until you know what an angel is. Once you know that an angel doesn't have as much freedom as you do, and an angel doesn't necessarily have the perception of the pathos and the empathy and the understanding of a tzaddik who's on the world level of seeing it all as one and still being down here in this world and caring for his fellow man, then you'll see that being an angel is a fixed job. You know, you don't get any pay raises. You don't get any job description transformations. No one sends you a letter telling you how great you are every year. You know, so being a human being is very special, and that's why they're jealous of us. So don't be jealous of the angels. It's false. But nonetheless, if we were able to stay at that constant state of kulo tov, kulo achad, all one, all good, then we would not be human. And therefore, this idea of the nullification, surrender is, you have it, you lose it. You have it, you lose it. And you just got to get used to the seesaw. And if you don't like it, you know what? I don't blame you. Who likes that constant shift? I don't like waking up in the morning in a bad mood, and I don't like going to sleep at night in a bad mood. But I have a lot of good moods in between. So, you know, I'm be sitting here talking online with you folks, and what more can I ask from life? And therefore, when the intellect comes back from the surrender, the intellect comes back into your everyday seeing of the world, because the vessel of your intellect is your mind. Now, are we just playing with words in English? Not exactly. When we understand the words in Hebrew, it gives more depth to the perception. What is mind? What is intellect? What is consciousness? We don't need to go there now. We understand that you have a brain and you have a soul that sits in your brain, that activates the system. Then it's impossible for our intellectual powers, and the kelim, So when you come back right away after you finish the joy of seeing and living and feeling and perceiving the oneness and the goodness, which we have those times, when you come back, it's not so easy just to jump back in to that high-level consciousness. We've got to do a work. We've got a job to do. Because we're jumping into Ein Sof when you jump into Kulo Tov, Kulo Achad. Right? And you can't just jump into the infinity and stay Yedida Miriam or Jane. You're not going to be her anymore. And I'm not going to be me anymore for those moments. So when we jump back in, well, we have to be a little smart about it. So we jump out of the Ein Sof, where we don't jump, they push us out, really. Which from that place of Kulo Achad, Kulo 1, and that's the root of all our pain. The root of our pain is not that somebody insulted me, or that I lost my favorite pocket knife, or that, somebody told me that, I need to do more homework. No, that's not the source of the pain. The source of the pain is the fact that we left the oneness in the first place. And we have to. And we need to be mature about it and accept it. Ki ikar hargasha shel kol yisurim is the essential nature and aspect of all the suffering. Uke'evim, and pain. It's in the brain. You cut your finger, you think your finger hurts? Well, what happens is you cut your finger and your body's on alert that this is now an open, dangerous place of infection. And so it sends pain to your brain so you'll respond to the infection. You know, and the action, if you didn't have the connection between your finger and your brain, you wouldn't feel the pain in the cut. Because from the brain, little threads, little tubes go out to every limb in the body, every organ, every part of the body. And then the brain feels the pain. And in whatever limb it is. And then when we come back from that level of ultimate surrender to the kulo tov, kulo chad, all is God, all is one, when we return to that into the world of multiplicity, duplicity, etc., that's where the pain begins. And the pain will tell us exactly where it's coming from and why we have it. And I have to understand, wow, maybe I still have a little ego left and I don't like being corrected. Or maybe I still have a little ego left and people are going to step in front of me or cut me off on the highway. And maybe I need to get over that. Azai mit gabrim ayisrim bioter mima shayu mekodem. But when we come back from the oneness, we feel the pain worse. This is one of the chidushim of this Torah, that the pain that we feel from leaving the oneness is worse than it was before we entered the oneness. Why? Because we become more sensitive beings on this path. We become more sensitive to reality at every level. More sensitive in what we hear, what we see, what we smell, what we taste, and your body as well. And your body has all those senses too, by the way. And so we become more sensitive, and it's a double-edged sword. Meaning, wait a minute, I want to get close to God, so I have to be more sensitive? Well, of course you do. But to be more sensitive means I'm going to feel more pain. And, well, I'm not sure I want that. Well, you have that right not to want it. But if you want to be a mature, God-seeking adult, individual, a true pioneer, a true warrior for the name of the Creator, then we're going to have to accept the conditions of being more sensitive and for little things to hurt us. And that's okay. Because you see other people that don't get touched by the things that we get touched by. I'm like, wait, this guy doesn't worry about the traffic and this guy doesn't worry about somebody, but you don't know their whole story and you don't know what their day is like. And you don't know what they go through. And I'm sure that they have their moments too. They're not going to tell us about it either. Okay, he tells us an example of all of this. That when two people are wrestling and they're really going at it, and one is overpowering the other back and forth. When one of them, when the one guy sees that the other guy's getting the better hand and he's about turning him over, and he's about to lose the match, then he strengthens himself even more. And this is exactly what the great prosecutor of this universe does. He finds someplace else to pick at us once we find out that it's kulo tov and kulo echad. And if you go through your day reminding yourself over and over, it's all good, it's all one, it's all good, it's all one. People will hear you, they're going to think you're a robot, a spiritual robot. But you know what? That's okay, let them. That's okay, that's fine. Because if you can get into the habit of remembering that it's kulo tov, kulo echad, all good, all one, all good. When you get into that habit, you create a force field of spiritual power around you. Now, it will be challenged, but you have a force field. And, they didn't say, let the force be with you for nothing, right? It wasn't just a Hollywood line. Hollywood ripped it off from somewhere else. And where they came from is here, from this idea that when you enter the kulo tov, kulo echad realm, the realm of the all one, all good, you do have a force field around you that protects you from the silly, petty, small-minded, heartless, inconsiderate, discompassionate things of this world. Because you see them, that discompassionate, heartless moment actually was somebody else's pain where they had yet to see the Kulo Tov, Kulo Chad. They had yet to see that it's all good and all one. So we got to feel sorry for them. We got to pray for them. God, bring them closer. Bring everybody closer. Bring the people who don't even know you exist closer. Bring the people that are against you closer. Because that's the only hope for humanity. I haven't seen anything come out of a peace conference except for two. One guy's smiling and one guy's, worrying about facing his constituency. But we see here with this path, we have the truth. How to deal with life every day on life's terms, and how to deal with our own pain and transform it in another vehicle, fuel and a vehicle to get closer again, to enter back into Ein Sof. Back, and we keep knocking at the door, and guess what? They start opening the door for you because they see you're real, you're sincere. And so too, the Bali Dinim, the negative forces in the world, and that's the negative forces from heaven down to earth. Whether it's inside a man, or it's inside a planet, or it's inside a snake. Those negative forces are going to see that you're coming on strong, and they're going to get stronger. And that's okay. They need to. Because that's how we go further and further and further. Closer to Hashem. And when they see that we're really in the Kulo Tov, Kulo Echad mode, then they're like, well, what do I do with this guy? He sees everything is good. He's ripping off my mask. So you're really tearing off the mask of evil and showing evil, hey, look in the face, mister. You're just another servant of God. You just don't like it. And who blames him? He's the DA. Show me a DA that likes his job, and I'll show you a weird person, okay? A person who likes going after criminals. I don't know, it looks fine on TV in an old Western or in a cop show. But going after criminals all day long, dealing with this? Let's solve the problem from the side of goodness. But when we come to this idea of the nullification, surrender to the oneness, they get powerful against us. Therefore, when we come back from the place of the oneness, we feel it more. It hurts more. It hurts more to see the way human beings treat each other. It hurts more to read the news. But what do? You sigh, and maybe you cry, and maybe you write a letter to the editor. I don't know. But I do know that ability to feel pain, Rabbi Nachman teaches us, is actually the pain of the divine presence that flows everywhere. Because the divine presence is everywhere. It's just hidden. And when you feel the pain of the divine presence, then you're like God's right-hand person. And you're able to say, God, no, have mercy on these people. They're good people. They just don't know you. They don't know how important it is to pray. They don't know how to pray. They don't know what books to learn. They don't know what rabbis gave their lives for this teaching. Kihem mitkabrim kenegdog, and the negative forces come back, and then we fight them, and mechamat shirotzim livroach mehem. And the whole problem is we want to run away. We want to run away from the negative forces, and we don't have to run except to Hashem. When we run to Hashem, we're running to the idea. An idea. All good, all one. And you know what that means? You suffer. Tragedies, all the horrible things that happen in this world, there's some place where they're coming from all good. And when we attach them to the all good, then God gives us a little porthole on to see how it's so. How it really is all good in the bigger picture of this world. We should be blessed with this vision. We're going to continue with this Torah. And we're going to go over it and over it and over it because we need this Torah really bad. Especially nowadays, especially in a world of constant flow of international information. Rabbi Nachman said, I don't see how people live without the news. But I don't know if he was talking about the level of news that we're getting today on 122 stations. But he was talking about the big news, about what's happening in the world, because God is playing chess, so to speak, with the nations. And let's see what the next move is. but we know it's going to be good. God bless you all. See you tomorrow.